It's Christmas Eve 2002. A pregnant woman is missing, and her husband, calm, collected, freshly showered, is standing in his living room talking to detectives like he's discussing the weather. Within 24 hours, Modesto detectives Brocchini and Bueller would uncover a story so riddled with holes it practically came pre-collapsed. These are every lie Scott Peterson told, in the exact order investigators caught him, and how those first 24 hours built the foundation of one of the most notorious murder cases in American history. Laci Peterson was last seen at her Modesto home on December 24, 2002. 7.5 months pregnant, due February 10th. That evening, her stepfather called 911. Laci had been missing since morning. She'd taken the dog for a walk. The dog came back. She didn't. And lie number 1 was already waiting. Lie 1. The golf story. The night before, Scott told Laci's sister Amy he'd be golfing the next day. He told others the same thing. But when police arrived, golf was suddenly off the table. He decided to go fishing instead because of the cold weather. Detective Bueller wasn't buying it. "You got a guy who said it was too cold to golf, but it ain't too cold to go fishing. Are you kidding me?" Right out of the gate, his story didn't match what he'd told people the day before. Lie 2. The secret boat nobody knew about. Scott said he went fishing, except he'd secretly purchased a small boat on December 9th, paying $1,400 bills in cash, despite not holding a fishing license since 1994. He secured a license valid for just 2 days, right before Laci disappeared. Laci's family and Scott's own father testified they never knew he'd bought a boat. A man planning a spontaneous fishing trip doesn't secretly buy a boat 2 weeks in advance and pay cash. Lie 3. He couldn't name what he was fishing for. When an officer asked what kind of fish Scott had been after, Detective John Evers testified Scott couldn't say. He paused, his eyes shifted, and he mumbled without answering. For context, Scott had told detectives he was fishing for sturgeon at the Berkeley Marina. A man who just spent Christmas Eve alone on the water, and he blanks on what he was fishing for. Detectives noticed. They always notice. Lie 4. She went for a walk, but her purse never did. Scott told police Laci had planned to walk the dog at a nearby park, but detectives found her keys, wallet, sunglasses, and purse sitting in a closet. Her car was in the driveway. She didn't go anywhere voluntarily. And one detective found something else. A phone book on the kitchen counter, open to a full-page ad for a defense lawyer. Scott hadn't even been formally questioned yet. Lie 5. The midnight interview and the affair he denied. From midnight to 1 a.m., Scott sat for a videotaped interview with Detective Brocchini. He claimed he was willing to take a polygraph. He never took it. He also denied having an affair. That lie unraveled 6 days later when Amber Frey, a massage therapist from Fresno, called the tip line after seeing Laci's face in the news. She'd been dating Scott since November 20th. He'd told her he was single and had lost his wife before Laci went missing. Lie 6. He told his mistress his wife was already dead weeks before she disappeared. Scott bought the boat on December 9th, the same day he told Amber his wife had died. Detectives now believed he began planning to kill Laci 2 weeks before she vanished. He was rehearsing his widow story before she was even gone. On New Year's Eve, while police had Frey recording their calls, Scott told her he was in Paris with friends. He was standing at a candlelight vigil for Laci and Connor, performing 2 roles simultaneously, failing spectacularly at both. Lie 7. His demeanor said everything words couldn't. Detective Bueller told ABC News, "I suspected Scott when I first met him. I was thrown off by his calm, cool demeanor and his lack of questioning. A victim's family is usually firing questions at us. We didn't get any of that from him." Bueller described Scott as a strange combination of polite and arrogant, disaffectedly distant, and impatiently irritable. He just didn't seem like a man who was crushed by his wife's disappearance. 7 lies. 24 hours. Detectives already knew. Scott Peterson was ultimately convicted of first-degree murder for Laci's death and second-degree murder for the death of his unborn son, Connor. The case was built brick by brick, and most of those bricks were laid in the first 24 hours by Scott himself. That's the thing about lies. You don't need a confession when the liar does all the work for you. If this case has you gripped, hit subscribe. We're just getting started. Drop a comment. Which lie was most damning? The secret boat? The Paris call? Or the fact that a man whose pregnant wife was missing never once asked a detective for a callback number?